Join me for day 14 of learning how to throw ceramic bowls. This week my goals are, during the throwing process, to be lifting and pinching the clay as little as often, so really big, confident pulls throughout. So I begin by coning and centering the clay, making sure that it's all consistent and all the clay particles are facing in the same direction. So you can see on this cone example here, I begin to lift and they're pretty consistent towards the top, but the lower half of the cone is a little bit inconsistent. So what I did after this was I just coned it a few more times and it was a lot more cohesive as a single body of mass. Once I'm happy with that, I begin opening up the clay. So taking my thumb and bracing it with my left hand, I push the thumb into the clay to open it up. There's a little bit of a wobble, so just correcting for that with my hands now. This week I'm practicing using my fingers to open up and pull out the clay. Bit overkill for a pot of this size, but I'm just practicing so that when I scale up to larger pieces, it's much easier because your thumb can really become a challenge at that point. So again, just correcting for the clay, making sure that it's got this kind of steep slope on the outside and that the angle between the base and the edge of the walls on the inside is steep too. Then I begin pinching and lifting up the clay. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, what I'm trying to achieve here is as few pinches as possible, because the more water you add to the clay, the softer it becomes, and it's just not the best practice. So really trying to pinch and lift that as few times as I can and just have a bit of confidence. I'm starting to understand the material a little bit better now. So by kind of making those long, confident pulls, it'll really benefit myself in the long term. So once I've got the right height for the bowl, I then begin pushing the bowl out. And then again, similar to lifting the bowl, I want to follow the same principles as a few pinches as possible, being really confident. When pushing the bowl out, it's really important to not commit to pulling the bowl out, because that will make it very unstable and is likely to fall over. So at this stage of the throwing process, it's important that I take my time but still have that confident pull to pull things out. You can see there's a slight discrepancy between the rim and the lower part of the body of the pot, but I'll correct for that with the metal kidney now. So I hold the metal kidney a fixed distance away from the pot, and from the inside I push the walls of the pot out against the kidney, and that will make it a lot more cohesive. It also has the added benefit of removing the slip from the outside, and that's really useful for the drying process later. Begin pinching the rim to get that nice kind of round finish. I have been throwing my bowls and my pots a little bit too thick in the rim, so I think next time I'll try and get that much thinner. So now we're a couple of days later. The bowl is now leather hard, so I'm starting to lay down some slip and put the bowl on top. These pieces of clay that I'm adding to the side are there to brace rather than stick against. And then I just take my tool to the outside, cleaning up that base first. It's really important to have that nice flat base at the start so that when you kind of dig down and remove that clay later on, everything's more level. So just tidying up the edge of the base where that meets the surface of the wall of the bowl, and just cleaning up this outside wall area here. This I find really fun and really therapeutic part of throwing, and wish I could do more of this. I'm using now a wooden piece to just burnish the edges and get it a little bit more smoother. And finally, just tidying up the joining part between the base and the wall of the bowl. Next, I want to create a recess on the inside of the bowl here. I deliberately threw it a little bit extra thick this week so that I can create a nice foot or base to this bowl. So I remove how much I need from the inside so it looks like the edge of the bowl curves nicely underneath, and then just tidying up the feet here. So again, on the inside of the bowl, want to make sure that that join between the wall, the floor and the inner part of the foot is really smooth and really clean, as well as the actual foot itself is super flat. I find sometimes when throwing, little balls of leather hard clay get stuck in here, and then sometimes when I pick the pot up they get squished into the edge, so just removing them. And here is the final piece. I hope you liked the video. Make sure to like and subscribe.